Okay, our next lesson for the week is going to be on SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a widely used acronym in business. It's used over all facets of business, so that's why I thought it could apply to business management and marketing. You're going to do a couple different SWOT analysis and you're going to apply to a couple different situations. And I want you guys to keep in mind of a business that you would start now in this current business environment, in this Corona environment. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through this worksheet to explain it to you. All right, so you're going to complete this worksheet. It's 40 points. And the first part is basically the definition and history of SWOT analysis. And basically, the origins of SWOT analysis and the technique is credited by a gentleman named Albert Humphrey, who led a convention at the Stanford Research Institute in the 1960s. And the goal was to identify why corporate planning failed. You know, as you guys know, a lot of money is put towards business decisions, and you don't want to waste that money. So they wanted to come up with a good technique to grow their business and to approach these different business decisions. Okay, again, it's from Albert Humphrey, and it's from the Stanford Research Institute. And there's an article in here if you guys feel the need to learn more. Okay, so the next part we're going to talk about here is really what is SWOT application, what is SWOT analysis, and how it can be used. Basically, a company uses it for a lot of different reasons. It uses it to establish a brand, to determine if they're going to acquire another company, to come up with a new business idea, to see if they're going to go into a potential partnership or change a supplier. So they kind of go through the same process every single time they're going to make a new business decision. Okay. So basically, I like this little picture down here, and it shows you what SWOT stands for. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The strengths and weaknesses are things that a business can look for internally. Okay. You know, who their employers are, what is their reputation, what is their current market sale, what are their sales, and weaknesses too. You know, maybe they don't have enough employees, maybe their sales aren't enough. So these are all things that they have full control over, that they can look internally over. External factors are your opportunities and threats. You know, this is kind of visualizing, anticipating things like what might be our next opportunity in this economy. You know, there's actually a lot of new opportunities that this current coronavirus economy has presented. And then what are our threats? Okay, of course, we have the coronavirus, the shutdown, the people losing their jobs. There can legal issues that occur. So these are all external. These are really things that businesses don't have control over, that they have to anticipate. Okay. So for this part of your lesson, I assigned you guys a study.com lesson. Okay. And if you've signed up for study.com, it's already pushed out to you, and it's on McDonald's and how they used SWOT. So I want you to answer the questions, read through it, look at the video, answer the questions in the quiz, and then list McDonald's SWOT analysis here. And that's 10 points. Okay. Next part of the lesson is applying SWOT to our personal lives. There's an article in here about how you can do that in your personal lives. And it's really looking at a whole assessment, reflecting on your life, what you can change, what you have control over, what you're strong in, and then maybe looking at potential threats or opportunities that you can see. And you could apply this really, you know, in terms of where you're going to go to school, how I have different reasons here, what your future career goal is going to be, how you can be a better student, how you can be more productive at home right now, maybe if you're on a team or a club, how you can grow the club, win districts. But this little matrix here, this little table, sorry, is a good way of comparing your personal, like if a business looks at strengths, it's what does the company do well? What is a good track record? If you're looking at your strengths, you're really looking at your personal strengths. What do you do well? How do people see you? So this is a nice little comparison of both. Okay, so I gave you reasons you might conduct a personal SWOT analysis. There's also an article on here of how doing it personally. And so, let me skip to this. Okay, and so what you guys are going to be doing then is providing me a goal and then writing out your personal SWOT analysis for that. So if your goal is to get into a school, if your goal is to be more productive, if your goal is to shoot a turkey or deer every time you go out to hunt, this is what I want you to think of: your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to accomplishing that goal. Now, I also wanted you guys to see this picture right here. And I liked this because this shows okay, you created your SWOT analysis. Now, what do you do with it? How do you apply it? Okay, so what it says here is internally you have your strengths. And of course, once you identify your strengths, you want to come up with ways to build your strength, enhance your strengths. Your weaknesses, what you could do to kind of resolve these weaknesses or reduce weaknesses. And then externally with your opportunities, you have an opportunity presented to you. How can you exploit that opportunity? How can you expand upon it? And then, of course, threats, try to avoid the threat, be prepared for the threat. So this is a nice little graphic. Once companies or you personally create a SWOT, how do you actually apply that? Okay, so once again, personal SWOT, 10 points. Now, here's where the really, really deep thinking starts to come into play. What we're going to be doing is doing a little mini business plan in here on an opportunity you might see for starting a business during this crazy time. All we keep hearing is coronavirus, quarantine, recession, unemployment, paycheck protection, okay? But for some businesses and for some people, they may look at this as an opportunity to start a new business, and in particular, an e-commerce business. So I have a video, okay, that you can watch to start generating ideas. I have an article, and you can also do your own research, or maybe there's something that you've been thinking of that you said, oh, maybe this is a really good idea right now, that you can start your own business. Now, let me give you a couple other examples of ways that companies kind of, they probably created their SWOT and said, okay, we need to do something differently now. Our Ford and GM, they started building ventilators. No one's buying cars right now. So they're using the tools and the materials they have right now to build ventilators. Distilleries, instead of making alcohol, which alcohol sales are surging, by the way, but they're also making hand sanitizers. Certain fashion companies are using their materials to make uniforms for healthcare workers. Restaurants are looking at ways to do a lot of takeout orders and specials and, things that you take and bake. So everybody's kind of reinventing themselves right now. Okay, so the last thing you guys are going to do, and this is actually worth 20 points, is you're going to identify a new business opportunity or an area of business that you may want to start and do your SWOT for that. Okay. All right. So to recap, you're doing 3 SWOTs. You're doing one based on the study.com, McDonald's, looking at how they've already used it. You're going to do a personal SWOT analysis. And you're going to do one based on a business you may want to start. Now, that is a really important, once you find your business, we are going to keep using that idea throughout the rest of the quarter here. So think about that. Okay, if you have any questions, email me, come into Zoom. If you want me to set up a different Zoom, I will. Good luck. Thanks.